Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, another wondrous Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. We'll be having a 1 vs 1 right here on Sirmuffin. Yes, indeed, Sirmuffin. We shall be watching Sirmuffin fighting for Deutschland for the 3rd Panzer Division here, with defensive doctrine, assault support, and Festung armor under his belt. Several defensive doctrines, interesting enough, versus Cobros I'll just call him Boris. Boris here fighting for the Soviet Union's 323rd Rifle Division. Hoorah, comrades! And we are noting here he's going for a pretty heavy infantry start, although we might be... No, not really. Just looking at the wrong one initially. I figured he might go for some early Molotov upgrades, but that's clearly not the case. Additional conscripts there in the way, as we can quickly see once more. It takes a dip there, so rather looking like the usual, let's get a lot of conscripts, comrades. So far, it seems like neither player is going for the closest viewpoint. In fact, looks like Boris here went for disrupting in the hopes that Sirmuffin would be going for this one. So that's a bit of an interesting move so far. But he seems more intent on getting the one over here. Second gun is called out, MG42 on the way, and note here, what does Boris has as doctrines? Well, we don't know, but he's gone straight for Guard's rifle. And one fun thing to note here, for example, also with the assault support, is that the officer is actually more early available, since he's now one command point, which of course is equivalent to the old 1.5 command point in essence. So it's actually a bit out fast, if you will. Inertial engagement, and this needs to get into cover, into Deckung, men out, in Deckung. It looks like they were able to get down one of the Russians, who was out in the open. There we go, quickly follows up with another Bolshevik down. Not looking good here for the defenders of the motherland.
The Russians are coming!
Pioneers moving in. MG42 moving in to support, while the Grenadiers over here, it would seem, hanging about. Conscript suffering minor losses. Molotov is being researched now, we can see. Due to, again, the fact there's a dip in the fuel. Pioneers pushing in here. MG42 sending out in the middle of the road, a bit of a bold position, but opens up then the conscripts. Meanwhile, Pioneers supporting the Grenadiers, opening up close here on the conscripts.
The Russians are attacking!
So the Grenadiers occupied with other conscripts. One looks like the conscripts are actually ignoring the Pioneers. That is a bit of a bad decision right there by Boris, actually allowing the Pioneers to get off a few nice kills without having to worry about anything there with their machine and distorting 40. And there we go, the engagement has been won with only one Grenadier down compared to several conscripts suffering grievously. So that definitely could have worked out a lot better there for Boris. Grenadiers pushing down south here, though combat engineers getting a bit unengaged there. Third squad of Grenadiers, so 3 Grenadiers, MG42. Nice and aggressive build, though with defensive capability. Pushing very hard for the left-hand side, right-hand side seems to be less of a priority here for Sirmuffin. MG42 taking up a defense position inside the small house by the snow. Trucks moving in there to secure. Grenadiers are engaged. All good so far. Taking up going on here for Sirmuffin. And there we go. Assault support has been chosen, and we're immediately seeing here that the officers called in. Achtung! Conscripts pushing ahead, Grenadiers pushed away. They did not fare so well versus the combined combat engineers conscript force. Securing the centre as well. MG42 staying there. Pioneers sneaking about, taking points up there. So far, Sirmuffin is actually on most of the map, though that can quickly change. Victory points different also in his side right now. And what is this up here? We're seeing a bit of barbed wire going up. Firing off this area, it would seem. Interesting, interesting. Quick rifle grenade there from Sirmuffin's Grenadier. And there we go. Just moving into the cutoff point right there. Boldly played. Grenadiers in need reinforcement. Taking up position there. Quick Molotov. Officer moves up. And there we go, contrary to fire, increasing rate of fire and accuracy on the Grenadiers, and of course the officer himself. Making them that much more lethal here. The conscripts all running away, but with losses inflicted here. And there we go, down to 3 men. Nice little turnaround there. And the conscripts standing here by the barbed wire, slightly wondering, comrades, what's going on? What is with this barbed wire? There was not supposed to be any. I don't suppose fascists could have done it. And there go, quick popping into the house, quickly dropping a conscript, and moving out. Oh, there they are, getting quickly exposed. Though we do see a rope grenade here to support. Oh, quickly getting several conscripts down. Conscripts moving over, going for the cover point instead. But will soon find themselves under the administration of the MD42 while he's wiring off here as well. Bold, bold, but interesting. Certainly rare to see that kind of butt wiring anymore, so lovely, lovely. Bunker up here for the Grenadiers. Not going to be a medic bunker. And a quick Molotov, but the German troops are moving. Officer closes in, getting another kill. Conscript suffering losses.
It's done.
Definitely Boris is a bit on the back foot. There he is, gaining back a nice chunk on the map. You might want to consider mining that spot. There we go, conscript retreating, they might go down. In fact, they might go down. Concentrators fire, and oh no, it might wasn't even necessary. Target is down. The lieutenant does the job.
This is German territory.
Lieutenant
now.
Colonel. Yeah. And battle phase here quickly taking up, so it would seem. Going on for some armor right away. Also needing quite a bit of resource being flowed, but then again that might be because he's waiting for the combat engineer to do something in his base.
Officer reporting.
Officer reporting. Looks like they're listening into a nearby building, getting a light machine gun. Now, they're not really in good condition for it. It would have been better with Grenadiers in a more healthy condition. These would be limited in usefulness. Concentrated fire here, of course, could do a bit as well. And there we go. Quickly popping it. Also benefits the troops inside the building, by the way. Definitely inflicted a few losses there, but Grenadiers need to quickly evacuate. Quick sook. Officer continues his fight with his Grenadiers, and there we go, Veteran 2-1, he has been promoted. Dropping a few more conscripts right there. Last two getting out of the village. MD42. I'm surprised he didn't actually pull it up here to support, and then perhaps instead left a bunker to guard this area, perhaps some mines.
Pioneers here.
But there you go, in the meanwhile he's gaining the right hand side while losing the center to the advances of the Soviet Union. We're seeing a support weapon company going up there. Troops are enforcing once more, like to mechanized company, so he tacks up and then builds the previous tier. That's perhaps not the most efficient approach. Wait, and then he proceeds to build the next one? I can't help but feel this is a bit awkward and perhaps not the best way to do things. It just ends up with spending a lot of resources at the same time juncture on buildings instead of actually on units. Instead, you know, you could either build this up and then perhaps called out a tank or a Stug or gone for this fully and then you called in some infantry right away or some scout cars or a half-jack, something. It just feels a bit off, and right there looks like the MD42 was outmaneuvered again. Bit the problem with leaving the MD42 on its own like that, it can, you know, be outflanked and quickly dealt with if it doesn't have anything, you know, covering it or protecting its flank like, say, mines or barbed wire. So right here, Boris pushing up hard the left flank, trying to push back the opponent as much as possible. Officer moving in there, Grenadiers in support with their light machine gun gewehr. Then he gets the Panzer Grenadiers. This, again, I really feel is not very efficient. And we see here that Boris is speeding ahead for the Tankowy Battalion Command. Taking up position there, ambushing the conscripts who quickly hit the dirt. Hit the dirt, ski comrades. Officer here, concentrated fire. Getting off a nice few kills there. Good use of the officer, by the way. Nice aggressive, nice supportive use of him. And there we go, boosting the combat ability of the Grenadiers as well, though they're a bit late to really get the full effect, nonetheless. Also very close to getting Veteran 2 with the officer already. Panzer Grenadiers MD42 ready again. Mach schnell. Looks like some Grenadiers here on a bit of a mission of harassment. Very aggressive play. Nice to see there from Sirmuffin. Pioneers moving up here. Conscripts remaining. And looks like here we are seeing Boris setting up here for a bit of harassment. Taking up position here. Going to force Sirmuffin to actually a lot more resources to take back this position. Nicely played there, in particular to this cut-off point actually guarding the left-hand side. So that is a very nice and interesting move right there from Boris. Of course, we'll have to see how it works out. And now we're seeing a flak punch on the way. Interesting choice, interesting choice. He wants to further focus on punishing the infantry. Then again, might not be what I would have gone with. I would have gone with a Panzer IV, perhaps a Sloop, depending on how confident I felt of things. I don't think I'd gone right away for a Flak Panzer. Conscripts getting out, and there we go. Ooh, driving straight into that machine gun fire. The officer's a bit far away, but there we go. Conscripts are dropping a bit there. Veterancy too. Men burning up. That's less good.
Small arms fire! Soviet forces are engaging us!
Engagement up here. Conscripts stopped by Panzer Grenadiers and MG-42, and Grenadiers down there fighting versus the combat engineers. Also no use of these cargo trucks so far. Interesting, interesting. It looks like the Grenadiers ultimately had to pull away from the combat engineers. I'm actually deeply surprised there. I would have thought he'd hung around and beat them. Then he moves back, apparently. Make up your mind. But, time to have a look here at Boris. Getting a field gun now, despite having moved straight for the tank of battalion command. There seems to be a sort of repetition action there from both sides. They move on to the tank stage, but then they sort of, you know, let's get something from the previous one first. But then again, that's also partly because Mr. Boris has not been very good at keeping up his fuel again. He focused for the one farthest away, and that's also quickly harassed in some regards. Rather, probably should be focusing on this one that's a bit easier to defend as well. And he hasn't set up himself, say, a fuel cache, which could have helped in that regard. So in that regard, he has made some slight tactical errors in determining how he wants to control the map initially. But pushing up here with a fresh horde of conscripts with the PPCH-41s, the Soviet thought machine gun of choice, one of the best in the war.
What are your orders?
Though of course it had its own slight flaws. Teleman's going up there, lovely. The Germans were certainly quite fond of using the PPCH-41s whenever possible, and certainly captured as many they actually began converting them to using German ammunition. Panzer still need to get into cover. I mean, they're awfully exposed out in the open. Flak Panzer moving, shooting its own men. What are you doing, Friedrich? They're Panzer Grenadiers, not communists.
Conscripts ready and willing.
Getting a few there as they try to enter the church. Von evil Flak Panzer strikes again. He knows no God. And there go the Flak Panzer up and support the assault. Good job there, good job there. Flak Panzer pulls away. MG-42 not really there to support the front line. I can't help but feel a bit. Also, point up here secured by the officer who quickly proceeds to get the devil away. Supply truck up here securing the point right here, getting extra fuel and munitions. More Grenadiers moving up. Flak Panzer continuing to support here with his 37mm high explosive rounds. He could try and flank up here with the Grenadiers.
Armor is engaging us.
Grenadiers firing away as well. Field gun taking up here, not going directly for the Flak Panzer map, trying to flank instead. Flammenwerfer and Pioneer nearby as well, pushing ahead, counter-attack the Grenadiers, they're moving straight into the two submachine gun conscripts. That is less good, that is less good. Needs to retreat, and Ostwind moves into the cemetery slowly.
AT gun ready.
Floating quite a bit of resources there, Boris. That's bad, that's really bad. Call in some Guards infantry, for example, get some heavy infantry out, or call in a mortar, another field gun, or perhaps a Maxim. Just don't float that many resources. They've got Ostwind moving in, pushing ahead, trying to punish Boris's troops as much as possible. We also see the conscript squad pushing up here. Panzer is moving up, officers ready as well. Pioneers taking up position in the church. Flak Panzer pulling away, not taking any chances there. Good. T-34 on the way, followed up by a second field gun. Lovely. Though again, Guards infantry might also prove helpful. Also enough, there's no mines from the Russian player. Would have expected some mines, but of course, if you call in the Guards infantry squad and then equip it with some DPs, that might help. Suffering a few losses there. Field gun being hunted down as well. Now go engagement up here. Panzers need to get into cover quickly. There we go. Guarding their conscript though. Quick Molotov in the hopes of a 9 cover, and no luck there. I do believe Guards infantry also benefit a bit from this. They might also in fact be one command point, though I might be slightly wrong there. No sign of a Howitz as of yet, but there we go. Calling another field gun and a T-34 to support. An independent tank battalion supporting the Russians. Like the Americans, operate a bit with a dependent tank battalion could be attached everywhere, unlike the Germans who didn't really operate with that. On the other hand, they had independent Stuka battalions do the same. It looks like here Sirmuffin's atheist tendencies display themselves, or perhaps something else. He's just operating here with the Scorched Earth doctrine. I'm slightly curious then why he's burning the church and not the building his opponent's more immediately likely to use. Since he's been the one using the church more than his opponent. There we go. The church is on fire, the roof, the vestry. And now he proceeds to build the fountain. Again, I'm not entirely sure why he's burning down the buildings. More useful to him. Again, I can appreciate the idea of actually applying Scorched Earth. It's pretty cool because it's really rarely seen, at least from my perspective, but it's more the way he's applying it towards the buildings, not close to his opponent. And there we go, Panzer IV Rise blowing up the T-34 would actually hit the Telemine, by the way. Nice place for another Telemine right there by Sirmuffin. But again, while I can say it's a good idea, again, I think he's burning the wrong buildings. You know, Heinz? Yeah? Perhaps we should burn the buildings the enemy might use, not the ones we're using. Nah, you're just being silly, Fritz. Plus, I'm a pyromaniac. I just love burning stuff. Oh, careful there, careful there. Oh, the nice use there again the officer's ability to sort of boost accuracy, though the officer needs to be closer now. Flanking the field gun, lovely conscripts nearby. Again, though, if he'd burned that building, there wouldn't be any conscripts in it. Instead, again, he's burning everything else than what the opponent might use. There we go, the field gun available to use. I think he should basically grab that field gun and use it for his own evil purposes. But no, we're actually seeing him popping down smoke here with the officer. Lovely. Nice tactical decision there. Might save his Panzer IV, for that matter, his other troops. The leaders don't need to get away, but lovely. Nebeln. Flak Panther, for some reason, not being utilised, despite being able to easily flank this and clear out the field gun right here, but that's a bit too late now. Conscripts pushed away. Definitely a bit of a nasty engagement. In fact, looks like he lost the conscript spot, but still, field gun there. I think Sirmuffin should endeavour to actually grabbing it and using it for the fatherland. At the very least, there's a bit of artillery to support Germany. A Feldkanone, which the Germans actually copied in form from the Russians by actually converting several packs, or at least making a pack variant, which could fire a bit higher up. Little fun fact there. And looks like he's realising he needs to get in some more heavy stuff, calling it a mortar. Although then again, he could just get a howitzer right now. And just, you know, fire much, much bigger things at the Germans. Conscripts pushing ahead. There we go. Nice use there. Again, benefits the Black Panthers as well. Russian advancing infantry out in the open, getting severely exposed, getting severely murdered. Hardly the best idea there from Boris. Field gun there could have fired off a barrage to try and catch all the infantry in one nasty go. And there we go. Field gun actually taking it back. I do feel that was a vastly missed opportunity right there by Sirmuffin. As always, either steal your opponent's equipment or destroy it. Don't leave it for them to pick up if possible. Yes, your opponent will like you for not destroying his equipment, but your primary purpose is winning. It's not a popularity contest, though, of course. If your opponent doesn't hate your guts afterwards, that's a plus, but ultimately, again, you're supposed to beat him. Panzer IV not counter-attacking here is a bit surprising. Orbital Panzer IV, I thought that was actually a little bit, but no, that's another Panzer IV. Ostwind surprisingly held back. Not surprised, supporting his infantry at the front line. We're all seeing some troops moving up here. Some Grenadiers a bit depleted. A bit awkwardly. And now he's finally getting around to burning that last building, though, again. I'm not sure why I burned all of this and not this first. I can't help but feel that Sirmuffin there might have gotten the idea of a Scorched Earth backwards. You scorch what your opponent might use, not what you would use.
AT gun ready.
Our unit count is increasing.
There we go, another Orbital Blitz to support the 3rd Panzer Division.
Engineer standing by. You need something demolished.
Combat Engineers getting caught.
More of our troops have been lost.
Combat Engineers dead. Setting up bunker there, I mean, that's actually an interesting idea, though I think he's doing it in an awfully exposed position. I would rather recommend around him, particularly now that he actually has an open blitz, securing the munitions, because you're giving it even more munitions. So, I mean, in that regard, that would probably be the better spot to do it. Now, again, I mean, there's a lot of good ideas. There's some overall some good strategy, but there's, again, also some really odd choices being made by Sirmuffin at the moment. But time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation, the Russian been pushed back, though looks like he's getting a lot of firepower to support his infantry. We're seeing 2 mortars, 2 field guns for the 3rd on the way. I mean, clearly, Boris here is going, yes, I must destroy fascist enemy with lots of artillery, though I for some reason will refrain from getting a howitzer to do so, because I really don't like those howitzer guys. They're all dicks. For all I know, though. Might be his perception. Either way, though, he's clearly laying up for some heavy hammering. He's clearly not going to opt for maneuver. So, of course, if Sirmuffin can lay down a proper defensive line, he can actually break that up. A few S-mines right here in terms of the village might work out well. Or just setting up the panzers to be able to counterattack from the flanks. That would also work extremely well. Or that, for example, combined with a nice fragmentation bombing run on the right units, again, could really blow things up for him. But again, the whole, blowing up burning down all the houses that might be used for defense. Also, the MG-42 is not really seeing much use anymore. Again, I think he's a bit too reluctant to actually use the MG-42 a bit more aggressively. It's, support weapon. It tends to work better when it can support your infantry. Really, this should be only sort of more of a, good lord, the enemy is coming, and I need to have something extra to strengthen my MG-42, but generally, you should not park an MG-42 at the corner of the village without it doing much of most of the fight. That's rather a waste of an otherwise good piece of weaponry. But so far, I mean, if he needs to do this, he needs to pull up for a serious assault up here in the centre with the field guns covering most angles, mortars bombarding, and otherwise, clearing up, for example, buildings occupied with MG-42s or otherwise infantry positions. But he needs to do so quickly. He needs to also lay down mines to sort of cover up for counterattacks. He needs to sort of not get greedy, which means he needs to basically focus around here initially, set up a defense around here, and then slowly push forwards, break down Sirmuffin. If you can do that, that'll work out nicely. A few tanks to support, or for that matter, half-track tracks to reinforce his frontline troops, perhaps with the AA mount to sort of help against any enemy aircraft, would definitely pay off for him. But he needs to do so quickly because the points are ticking down. Over at Sirmuffin here, and also let's have a quick sort of look. I mean, currently Sirmuffin is very much in the lead. He's done more damage, he's done considerably more kills. I mean, there's really a massive discrepancy here. We also see these overall got a much larger force, more armour, more infantry. So in that regard, there are many things that work out nicely for Sirmuffin. The thing is, though, he's also got to cover a large amount of territory, so that's rather where the weakness sets in. Depending on how he defends, though, he could run into some few issues. Though again, the sort of way he seems he probably should focus around here, and otherwise build reserve to quickly react with basically a few outposts here and here to sort of detect, if the enemy's coming, then he rushes in his armoured reserve. But then again, his tanks are all over the place. He can't really, form a fist. Again, clot some net click on. You strike with a fist, not an open hand, and currently what Sirmuffin has is his fingers all over the place, not even attached on the hand, which is even worse. So in that regard, he needs to form up properly. He also needs to sort of set up a defensive perimeter with his infantry at certain positions, again, spotting out, then the panzers can counterattack. Of course, he also has got the strafing runs, that way he can quickly break up the infantry part of the assault, and if he waits long enough, he can also get on a fragmentation bombing run. A Tiger would also be very nice to sort of take breaking up a main part of an assault. But again, for now, he needs to sort of form up his tanks properly and set up to defense a front line, because again, that's very much what he currently doesn't have, and that could very well prove to be his undoing. Now he's on the defensive, not having a front line, which could allow his opponent to aggressively push in and then break off a counter-attack, in particular since the tanks are currently a bit scattered in awkward positions. So there's something very much to keep in mind. But let's return to the fight here. Shipping down the panzers down there.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
He could also benefit from upgrading more of his grenadiers with light machine guns. But definitely needs to get this force back on the field. It can't really hang around in the base much longer. Infantry getting blasted by the Panzerkampfwagen. Fear Austin moving in support. Can't even from behind. They're getting caught on the ice. Oh, they quickly got off the ice. That's good. Anti-tank grenade fails to penetrate the frontal armour. Conscripts moving up there. No resistance again. There is no front line, there is no infantry to support the front line. Again, a bit of a blunder there, I would say, from Sirmuffin. And again, that allows Boris to much more easily move in and close in. Set up positions outside of the ice, though he needs to set up his mortars. But there we go, fragmentation bombing run. Stukas with fragmentation munitions are ready to deliver death from above. Quickly moving into the center. Also, no attempt at taking back this point either. There we go, though. Now he's just moving in a large force. He should spread out against sort of defensive points against form and armored reserve. And we're seeing the Panzer IV moving in here. Pushing in towards the center. He seems to be ignoring the assault going in here towards the center. Panzer IV moving straight for the base. What is he thinking? A third mortar up. Well, the two mortars sitting up here in a small battery position. Panzer IV charging, getting hit there by the field guns. Oh dear, he's getting his own Panzer IV trap. What's this? He's calling in a strafing run in the base. What are you thinking, Sirmuffin? It's not meant for killing, it's meant for suppressing. I mean, that's not really the best use of the strafing run right there, in particular when you've got enemy field guns moving in. MG team wiped out by the mortars. So far, Boris is advancing like he should. Panzer IV needs to get the devil out of there. Panzer squad wiped out, but why is he expending so many resources on a few infantry units when there's assault going in towards the center, when there's so many field guns and nothing to be shooting up? And right there, of course, that's just a waste of the fragmentation bombing run. So he just lost a Panzer IV, and he just wasted a ton of munitions, plus he lost his pioneers with a flamethrower as well. Right here, of course, we're seeing the problem again. Sirmuffin lacking a front line, and of course having his tanks all over the place has now rather thrown him into himself to a rather dire situation. He's just lost a lot of units in a short period of time, and that was opponent, well, basically only losing one squad. He's still got 3 mortars around here, which represents him with a lot of artillery to make it harder for Sirmuffin to actually make any gains. And again, no support for the tanks, which also allows them to easily hunt it down by the field guns. And he's actually covering as many approaches as possible. Now getting a half track of all reasons all of a sudden. Tiger tank arrives, the Tiger is here. Stop it up, remember. Tanks are much less accurate when moving. You're now getting 2 times scatter. There we go, much better hit, but at the same time exposing the rear armor. Flak Panzer in the center, getting shot there by the field gun, again possibly the one he failed to recruit or destroy. Tiger here finding most of the conscripts. Closer getting them, Fire right, there we go, squad wiped out. Austrian trying to deal with the field gun, doing semi alright. But where is the infantry? Oh, good lord, he blopped up. Why did you do that, Sirmuffin? I rather get the feeling that Sirmuffin's gotten lazy and just thinks he's won this, and his opponent is clearly showing him wrong. His opponent right there, in fact, got veterans free from this huge cluster of infantry. Again, don't blob up, for heaven's sake. Do not blob up. Particularly not when taking a point.
I await your orders, Commandant.
I mean, right here we're just seeing that Sirmuffin clearly got reckless to a certain degree. I would not even perhaps call it arrogant. He clearly thought he'd won this and then pretty much proceeded to disregard this as though he was a part of the Italian army, which was known for being absolutely ridiculously lax when it came to security. It was. I mean, really, there were several times when the Italians pretty much allowed the enemy to walk straight into their base. That's what happened in North Africa and required the Germans to come over. They lost a numerically superior force to a small British force just charging into the middle of everything and wiping it out.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
I mean, really. Right there, that's definitely Boris being a bit daft, sending in his mortar like that. And nothing to guard here, of course, no mines, no anything. He could try and call in a fragmentation bombing and hoping that Boris is not paying attention. Field guns opening up with his Panzers, lots of veterans on them, definitely making that a hazardous situation. He might even lose the Panzerkampfwagen, but no, looks like he pulls it out of there. Infantry rushing up, these Panzer gunners, by the way, not fully reinforced. He's getting desperate, he's getting a bit more likely to make mistakes. that is bad, whereas Boris is clearly keeping a much cooler head. And again, punishing Muffin for the very great mistake he thought making, thinking this was over. And for not establishing a one here, I mean, that's clearly shows that while he made a lot of mistakes himself, I mean, he's still capable of actually pushing back hard. Now go infantry charge, strength in armor. Quick loss there. Panther squad wiped out. And then we've got officer almost wiped out as well. Just terrible, terrible losses. No pioneers, by the way, to repair again. I mean, when you get tanks, you get pioneers to repair them. At least 2 pioneer squads. That didn't happen either. So now, of course, he can't even use his Tiger tank. I mean, so many mistakes. And what is this? Fragmentation bombing run called in again. All infantry can easily move. I mean, that is generally not the best use of this ability you want to call on field guns, mortars. And now the Soviet Air Force is striking back, showing you how it's done. I mean, this is just going absolutely pear-shaped for Sirmuffin.
Shoots in here.
And now, Boris here has a nice strong position. Half-track got blown up by the Sturmovik. Oh, good lord. Tiger repaired. He needs to get out there, and he needs to keep it supported with his infantry, of course. He needs to keep it supported. Unterstützung. But mach schnell. There goes the Tigers on the move. And of course, right now, of course, there's a very much dangerous situation that Muffin is getting even more reckless because he thinks, well, my opponent is so low on victory points. I just need to do this and this. I can afford taking more losses than usual, and of course, I'll win this fight. But again, that's in fact a very dangerous trap to fall into because then you might actually make it even easier for your opponent to throw off. Don't move on the ice! Don't move on the ice! Why are you not taking the road with a Tiger tank? Oh, good lord! Had that Sturmovik been a bit faster, that Tiger tank could have gone down like a fucking piece of lead. I'm definitely getting the feeling here that Sirmuffin is getting dangerously desperate and reckless. He's just taken an absolutely brutal wake-up call from Comrade Stalin.
Grenadiers reporting. This is not German territory.
And now he's rather shocked, it would seem.
Panzerkampfwagen Tiger awaiting orders. Ready for orders.
And all of a sudden, as you might have noticed, where previously, in terms of damage, Sirmuffin besides kills were straight ahead. Now all of a sudden, Boris has managed to all of a sudden turn the tide pretty severely. So that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, is a very strong lesson in what not to do. And of course, now he's moving ahead, but again, several mortars, and of course, veteran mortar crews. Oh, he got it rammed! Why do you keep still moving out on the ice, mate? He's still only got 1 pioneer team. Grenadiers fighting versus conscripts. Where are the pioneers? They need to get there quickly. T-34 moves in again, dealing with the infantry field gun moving up. Panther 4 moving out on the ice. Careful, it's the ice, mate. Field gun crews getting murdered. Panzers and Grenadiers need to retreat. Even the officer, mach schnell. Quickly, Rückzug. T-34 through the ice. Panther 4 moving in. Time to pop over to Boris here, who's holding on magnificently. And again, with 3 mortars, he can present an awful lot of light artillery against the opponent. He's got plenty of infantry squads now as well. I mean, he's striking back hard. And now we see Sirmuffin just sending his Panther 4 into the dark completely again. He knows his opponent has several field guns about, so why he does this is beyond me. Again, as this sense of desperation from Sirmuffin. That this should not be happening, not to these Russian swine. I am Sirmuffin, the most silly named German ever. I will not lose to some Russian. There we go, they've got one squad of conscripts. Another T-34 on the way. Combat engines on the way. Still lacking in Pioneers to quickly get his tanks operational as quickly as possible. This Panzer IV, I mean, really needs to also get back into the fight so I can get veterans to him become even more lethal and also harder to deal with. Field guns once more getting recruited. Good job there, though. All of a sudden, heavy infantry also again that needs to be replaced. Also noting here, plenty of Sturmovik support. So while he might not have mind much, he seems to be getting it back with the Sturmoviks there with the Soviet support. There we go, Tiger ready again, but you know, the way Sirmuffin's handing it in, the fact that he's so slow in getting repaired, again lacking the Pioneers initiative to keep it properly supported, means its overall having very little impact on the fight.
Supply sector under attack.
Which again is also a problem. Looks like he's making a push towards the left-hand side, though he probably should be supporting it fully. Instead he's spreading out, which could very well prove to bite him in the arse. So again, then again means he won't be able to get full focus. Full brutal beating. Stop driving the Tiger out on the ice, man! Then it is squad closer going down there. Field gun recruit, and there we go, squad down. Terrible, terrible. And why the Panzer IV is not supporting, since he used to do a lot here, you know, move up, shoot, even cook off that Telemann, perhaps kill some of the stuff nearby, you know, would be terrible. And now note, he's not pushing in the Tiger with the infantry support further, again, that might work. I mean, now he's all of a sudden veering off for no apparent reason. It just seems like Sirmuffin's falling apart. Like a poorly cooked muffin. A poorly baked muffin. I don't think you cook them unless you're a very particular kind of baker or cook. Either way, he's beginning to lose all cohesion, and again, I mean, he should be attacking, not leaving his center that much open.
We have an isolated sector.
Don't move on the ice, don't move on the ice! Oh, come on. You don't fight tanks on the ice. That's like doing ballet in a minefield. A very dumb idea. Finally, he actually makes a move on the mortar. There we go, mine went off. Mortar crew down, but again, it's too little too late now. He should have been focusing on the support units much earlier. Now that Panzer IV's left all on its own. Officers also in trouble, serious trouble. Good swoop. Tiger tank here having to defend, again on its own. Dangerous situation. Don't ignore the T-34, don't ignore it, don't ignore it. Officer seems to be forgotten by Sirmuffin. He's occupied with the Tiger, and officer dead. Pioneers moving ahead, everything just seems to be quickly falling apart here, and there we go. Tiger about to get rammed. Main gun destroyed. That's a bit unfortunate, but he should have focused down that T-34 first. He should have expected that T-34 to ram, because Boris here seems very fond of ramming. Also, that Panzer IV is there for some reason.
Soviet territory reclaimed!
But now his Tiger's combat ineffective. He's got Pioneers rushing in all over the place, desperately trying to take back victory points. Clearly it's not working. T-34 took back this northern victory point. Point secured.
We have more conscripts at our disposal. What has been fired on?
And there we go. Damage is definitely on the side of Boris here. Defeating Sirmuffin, and again, no rule what Sirmuffin lost the game to was himself to a large extent. He failed, you know, to properly deal with his opponent's equipment. For example, again, that field gun there was definitely, I think, a massive blunder. But also, basically, he got extremely complacent. He got lazy. I mean, he just sort of, you know, had a huge force standing right there. He had absolutely nothing to defend the center, nothing at all, in fact, to defend the front line. His tanks were all over the place. And then his opponent just attacked in a cohesive fashion with mortars, field guns, and infantry. And, you know, then Sirmuffin just sort of flailed about, in particular, since he just made absolutely rubbish base assault for no apparent reason with a Panzer IV which he lost, and then expended so much munitions without really doing much with it. Again, it was quite odd to see, and overall he never managed to really do much with his fragmentation bombing runs. They were all wasted in a sense because, instead of trying to focus down the primary targets, which ought to be mortars and field guns, he sort of went out for scattered infantry squads here and there, and more particularly the infantry squads which his opponent were paying attention to and could thus have dodged with. If you are going to choose an infantry squad with a fragmentation bombing run, choose one which your opponent might not be paying attention to. That is, if you've got an engagement in the centre, he's harassing up here with a squad there, call it in on the guys harassing, because he's more likely to be paying attention to the fighting. Little tip there. But again, this was ultimately, Sirmuffin's own defeat. He got complacent, he rested on the laurels, and he got beaten absolutely silly. In particular because once, he got the wake-up call, he seemingly was a bit shocked, went into a state of, panic, I best describe it as, and then began flaying about, throwing in tanks here and there, and ultimately losing all cohesion compared to previously, he was in control. He made good advances, good use of infantry, good use of cover, good use of abilities, good use of barbed wire, for example. I mean, overall, he was much in control. His opponent, lacking, mines. He lacked a proper defense. He, seemed to sort of run his troops out into the open several times, and, really could have done a lot more initially better. He probably could have done with the maximum mortar earlier, something. But, when the time then came and he wasn't, the type to give up, he said, all right, I get the proper support, I'll attack. And then again, Sirmuffin, just fell apart because, again, Sirmuffin wasn't prepared. He had most of the map, but for some reason, he was not ready to defend. Again, that was really his major mistake, and then the follow-up reaction, again, he fell apart on that. So again, keep that in mind while playing. Again, even at your strongest, even when you got most of the map, you should still be ready for an attack. And again, then you sort of form a defensive strategy. And that apparently was more than that. And then, of course, when shit hits the fan, it's really cool if you can actually stay cool, which his opponent could and Sirmuffin couldn't. So again, there are a lot of lessons here in terms of mentality, but also, just a lot of nice little tricks, using barbed wire like that, good use of the officer. Also a bit aggressive here with the orbital blitz, but again, also some mistakes, clear mistakes. So, I hope you learned a lot from this match. I hope you got a few ideas for yourself. If you did want to subscribe, tell a friend. If you didn't want to subscribe, provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.